Hey guys, today we have a very special video. This is going to be about the Uzi SBR. So what exactly is the Uzi SBR? Well, it's basically exactly the same thing as the Uzi submachine gun, except it is in semi-automatic only, and it also shoots from a closed bolt. So if you're familiar with the Uzi submachine gun, that shoots from an open bolt. So this one is closed bolt. So it had to be re-engineered in order to accommodate the rules of the ATF, because they don't like shooting from an open bolt if it's semi-automatic. So this is an NFA weapon. It does require a tax stamp, so you can't just go into a gun store and buy this. Just passing a background check. You actually have to fill out the paperwork for it and pay your $200 tax stamp. But it's really worth it because having the gun in the original proportions that it was originally designed for is really an advantage. And that 16-inch barrel on the Uzi carbine just sticks out like Pinocchio's nose. It just doesn't fit, and it makes the weapon unwieldy and cumbersome. And there's really nothing like having a real Uzi. So granted, it's not a real Uzi since it's not fully automatic, but it's pretty much as close as you're going to be able to get as a civilian, for the most part, to a real Uzi. The National Firearms Act regulates machine guns, SBRs, suppressors, things like that. And then the Hughes Amendment from 1986 limits access to machine guns to those that were registered before that date in 1986. Nothing that was manufactured after that can be owned, purchased, transferred, etc., unless you are a Class 7 SOT. And the majority of us are not Class 7 SOT. So what we're limited to in terms of machine guns are transferable machine guns. Again, those that were made before 1986. And there's a limited supply out there. And so the demand on them is really, really sky high. And so the prices have just shot up. It's a matter of supply and demand. And there's just not that many out there. So the average person probably can't afford to buy a transferable full auto. But you actually can afford, for the most part, most people can afford to get themselves an Uzi SBR. It's really not out of the price range of the average working American. Something like this nowadays will go for about $2,000, which is not cheap, but it's nothing near the 18 to 20 grand that you're going to pay for a full auto Uzi. What most people do, instead of buying an actual SBR that is in this configuration, they'll buy an Uzi carbine with a 16-inch barrel, and then they're going to go ahead and file a Form 1 with the ATF, pay their $200 stamp tax, register it, and then they'll be able to put the shorter barrel, the 10.2-inch barrel, which is the original configuration barrel. Of course, you're going to have to engrave the name and location of the manufacturer, i.e. you. But once you do that, you're good to go, and you got a wonderful weapon, and it's about as close as you're going to get to an actual full auto Uzi. So this is something that you can do. Unless you live in a state where it's prohibited, you can do this. So I did it, and I'm very, very satisfied. I've handled Uzis both in the IDF when I was serving, before and after in the Israeli security establishment. This is an awesome weapon, and even in semi-auto, it is really not half bad at all. If you're good at pulling the trigger pretty fast, you can achieve really good accuracy. This is an amazing short-range weapon. One thing I actually really like about this, in fact, is the fact that it shoots from a closed bolt. One of the ways you can tell if it's a full auto or a semi-auto is from the bolt. So the bolt over here, you see that there's kind of a groove going through the bolt. So in the semi-auto versions, there's a little metal bar inside of here, which was added intentionally so that you wouldn't be able to interchange the full auto parts in this. So this is a semi-auto bolt. It comes in two parts. The full auto bolts are just in one part. This is actually in two parts. And this makes the weapon fire in a semi-auto closed bolt configuration. What's the advantage of a closed bolt? Well, this is a massive chunk of metal here. When you're firing from an open bolt, right? So an open bolt would be like this, and every time you're firing, it goes all the way forward. You got that huge chunk of metal slamming forward, and it kind of knocks off your accuracy a little bit. And you know, I don't like that. a lot of people don't like that. I mean, you can get used to it and you can still be relatively accurate with it, but it's not very pleasant. Shooting from a closed bolt, so this is a traditional configuration. If you're used to ARs, handguns, most semi-auto weapons that we have in America are closed bolt. If you're used to that, this is something that you're going to be pretty familiar with. So you just, cock it back, let it fly, and you've got your, you got your closed bolt system where every time you fire, let me put that in fire, the bolt's going to fly back and close again, keeping the bullet lodged in the barrel. So there's a bullet in the chamber as opposed to the bolt being back, and then when you fire it, the bolt would go forward on an open bolt system. So it keeps the weapon shooting really nice and smooth. So it's not necessarily a bad design for a semi-auto. I think it's actually better to have a closed bolt than an open bolt. Don't forget, the whole reason for an open bolt is because of the idea of bullets cooking off. So this actually does happen when you have a machine gun. The barrel gets really hot after extended fire, and if you have a round in the chamber there, when that barrel is super hot, it can actually cause the powder to burn without even pulling the trigger, and you got the weapon firing on its own, and that can be very, very dangerous. I'll actually link in the video another video from IMI of a test they did with some M16s versus the Galil, and the M16 actually has the bullets cooking off, and that's why a lot of submachine guns and even other fully automatic weapons, they will have an open bolt, because the open bolt makes sure that there's no bullet in the chamber at any point. Every time you're firing, it just strips that round from the magazine and then goes forward and then fires the bullet and then automatically goes back to the open bolt. So again, for a machine gun it makes sense. For a semi-auto, where you're probably not going to have that kind of heat generated in the barrel, it does make more sense, in my opinion, to have a closed bolt. So that's what I really like here. So let's go ahead and try this out. First of all, let's talk about the proper way to sling it, because there is a proper way. So this is an original IDF sling from way back in the 60s, 70s, or 80s. Kind of hard to say. So the way to sling an Uzi, there's two ways to do it. There's what's called neck carry. First of all, let's pop open that stock over here. We always want to have the stock open when we're going to use it. This is neck carry, in Hebrew, tle tzavav. So this is when the Uzi is basically just resting over your neck as such. So you got it just hanging on your neck, and it's ready. It's in front of you, and you got the muzzle down. It's automatically at the low ready, and then if you need to, you just bring that weapon up, and you can fire. So the advantage of this, you can have your hands free. You can do other things with your hands. You're not limited. So this is, if you'd be in a combat situation, if you'd be a guard on patrol, on duty anywhere, this is the way you're going to want to carry your weapon. But this is also very, it's heavy. It's a heavy gun, and it weighs down on your neck. So you're not going to want to do this for a long period of time. This is something that's relatively short periods of time you want to do for. When you're not immediately in a combat situation, what you want to do is you want to do what's called hatzlev, cross carry. So it just goes over. If you're right-handed like me, you're going to have the pad on the sling going over your left shoulder, and having the gun just across your chest like this, with the muzzle pointed downwards. So this is the hatzlev, and then if you need to, you can actually bring that weapon up, especially if the sling is a little longer. This one's a little tight, and you can still shoot. It's not a way that you'd want to go into the firing position, but you still could, and it's quite comfortable like this, and you can walk around, and it's just kind of out of your way. So those are the two ways to sling an Uzi. There really aren't any other ways to do it like this. They would call this in the army tle sababa, kind of like casual carry. This is not a great way, because somebody can just take the weapon off you. It's very easy to have the weapon stolen from you like that, and it's not a great way to get into the shooting position. The sling can just come right off. So this is frowned upon in the IDF, the tle sababa. So you want to remember those other two ways to do it. So let me get into tle tzavav, the neck carry. All right, so we got a few parts of the weapon. So we have our pistol grip over here, which has it has a grip safety. This is kind of like the 1911. If you don't engage the grip safety, this weapon will not fire. You won't be able to do anything. Okay, so you got to engage the grip safety. You got to have a nice, solid grip on the weapon like that with your hand. Engage the grip safety anytime you want to actually use it. All right. So you got your selector switch over here. So this is an SBR again. You only have two options. You have the S is for safe, the F is for fire. On a full auto, you would have safe, fire, and auto, which would be A for auto. But on this one again, we'll do a video on the full auto Uzi in a different video. But this is really just about the SBR, the semi-auto version. we have our charging handle up here. This is how you cock the weapon. This is your hand guard, your front grip. This is where this is going to go. This is your barrel. I'm not going to get into how we disassemble it, but if you wanted to take out the barrel, this is how you would you'd screw that out with this, and you could take out the barrel assembly and then pop off the top cover and take out the guts of the weapon. I'm not going to get too much of that right now. That's for a different time. This is a Model B. There are the IMI manufactured and imported to the U.S. 2 models of Uzis in the 1980s. There was the Model A and the Model B. The main difference being the sights. So this has a more modern sight on it. This is a similar sight to what's on the Mini Uzi and on the Micro Galil. You need a special tool to adjust it. This is the rear sight here. You'll notice it's kind of like bulge over there, kind of protrudes. And the front sight is more pronounced, as in the Model A has a less pronounced front sight, and certainly the rear sight is just a little, kind of like a flathead screw. So it's a different sights. Other than that, you won't really notice any differences between the Model A and the Model B. They're almost completely identical. So of course this is your trigger guard, and then your magazine release is down here. So it's not like on a pistol where your thumb would be, it's right down here, so your opposite thumb would come and strip the magazine. So they made these with 2 different types of magazine. So your standard magazine, military magazine, was 25 rounds. All right, this is a standard Israeli military 25 round magazine. You can see it's got a proof mark here, a little star. So if your magazine has that star, you'll know that that is actually an IMI military surplus magazine. It's got the witness holes here for 10, 15, 20, and 25 rounds. So you can kind of get an idea. To know how full your magazine is, you just look in those witness holes right there, and that'll give you a bit of an idea. And then the second type of magazine that was the 32 rounder. So this was made for special forces because they wanted to have a higher capacity. This was not generally issued to most units. This is only really to special ops units and police forces that were, that needed perhaps higher capacity. The way that was standard to carry this weapon in the IDF actually was with this coupler here. It's called a tzolevet in Hebrew. So what this does is it connects 2 25 round magazines, and once you're done with one, you just switch to the other. And another advantage of this is it gives you a 5th point of contact. So in the Israeli doctrine, when we're holding a rifle, we always hold it with 5 points of contact. So we're going to have obviously a point of contact into the shoulder. We're going to have a cheek weld here, which is not very comfortable on this this metallic stock. The wooden stocks are actually a lot more comfortable, but less practical. And then of course a point of contact is going to be your hand on the pistol grip, and then a 4th point of contact is going to be your left hand on the hand guard. And now this coupler gives you a 5th point of contact, which is your forearm on the secondary magazine right there. It's not going to work if you have this magazine. All right, if you switch to your second magazine, you don't have that point of contact. But at least on the first one, it gives you a 5th point of contact. And what that does, it really stabilizes your shooting a lot. So I really like that point of contact. So this is a really great setup. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. Let me get some hearing protection on, and we can go ahead and see how this shoots. So we'll start off doing a little slow, and then we'll kind of catch the pace up and do a little bit more rapid to sort of imitate bursts, because that's really the way you'd want to shoot Uzis is with bursts. You don't want to like let it rip, just fire, do a mag dump. You don't want to do that, and it's not really made for individual single shots, even though you could do that. That's more a more accurate, longer range weapon. But this is, high rate of fire, but shorter bursts is what you want to really be aiming for. So let's go ahead and do that. So yeah, that shoots really nice and smooth, especially when you're going at a nice rapid semi-auto rate. You want to be able to deliver rapid but accurate shots. If you're firing too fast, you're going to really throw off your accuracy. You want to be able to fire, rapidly, get multiple shots towards your target. Send multiple shots down range, but at the same time also hit. You want to get a good hit ratio. You're not necessarily expecting to get a 1-inch group at 200 yards with this thing, but the goal of a submachine gun is really to throw a lot of ammunition down range, and hopefully a lot of it's going to hit where it's intended to be going. So you really want to get a lot of rounds, but also not just pray and spray. You want to make sure that those sights stay on target, and that you're actually getting a lot of shots that are going center of mass. I don't really care if they're all dead center, but if they're all center of mass, then you're doing what you're intending to do. What you want to do, getting those shots to neutralize the target. If you have an opponent coming at you, you want to take them down. So let's go ahead and do some more shooting. I got some more mags here, and let's see how they do. So again, I got another couple of 25 rounds here. Let's go with the 25 rounders, and we'll try out some of those 32 rounders. So yeah, this is a really nice gun for shooting short bursts. If you're going with about like 3-round bursts, or 5-round bursts, or even up to 6-round bursts, it really shoots great. I just love that, because the weight of this gun actually really helps you in achieving accuracy. Because when you got like a Glock is a very light gun, and even though it shoots the same exact caliber, 9mm, it's very jumpy, and that jumpiness that leads to reduced accuracy. And so having that extra weight on the gun really makes it, it keeps the muzzle stable on the target, and it allows you to hit really good good shots, and to be very effective with it. So let's try a little bit more shooting, and I'm going to actually advance on the target while I shoot, and I'll go with some of the higher capacity magazines here. Give those a shot, see how that goes. Yeah, I mean, you can see, not one jam, super smooth. I mean, this gun, it really feels good in the hands. It's like you got something that's just very controllable, very reliable. When I shoot this, I feel confident. I feel very confident that I have a weapon that if I needed to use in a situation where my life was in danger, that I could really count on this. That's not necessarily true with all guns, but there's just something about these Uzis that just that they're always going to be there when you need them. And I mean, you can see these magazines, they just shoot flawlessly. 32 rounders, that's a lot of lead to throw down range. That's even more than an AR-15 mag, M16 mag would be your standard mil-spec mags. So that gives you a lot of firepower there. This is a great weapon for close quarters, Great weapon for home defense, for security. If you're going to be securing, let's say, a government installation, or let's say a house of worship. I do a lot of security for houses of worship, synagogues, and this is an excellent weapon to defend a house of worship. For close range, this is really it's really designed as a close quarter weapon. I wouldn't really want this as a long range weapon. But for very close range, this is second to none. This is really ideal, and I don't feel that you're really missing out that much by not having that full auto capability, because when you have full auto, it does give you that kind of motivation to kind of pray and spray, just like hold down the trigger and just like do a mag dump, let it all down range, and I mean that's how you lose your whole magazine, all of your ammo in a matter of seconds. And then you're out. Then what do you do? So I really love the fact that just rapid semi-auto fire. Like I said, the bullets stay on target, and you're not going to go and waste everything. If you've got a 32 round magazine, it gives you enough. That's enough ammo in there, so you'll be able to really engage multiple threats, and at a short range of time, but also not blowing it all off. Let's do some more shooting with that. You probably noticed that when I emptied a magazine, I went down to the kneel. And there's a reason for that. In the Israeli combat training doctrine, that's what we do. The minute we have to either have a jam or we have to reload, the first thing that we're going to do is go from the standing position to the kneeling position. Because if you got lead coming in your direction, but you can't return it, the only thing you can do if you don't have cover is to go down and take a kneel. So that's why we take a kneel when we're changing mags. So that's a standard operation. All right, so let's go through some more magazines here and see how we do with this. So far, like I said, no jams. So far, so good. Like they say, Uzi does it. I couldn't have put it better. This is I want to forget the Ear Pro. This is really just an amazing gun. I just love this. Nothing like an Uzi. Absolutely nothing like an Uzi. Got to remember to put it on fire before you cock it, because that's another safety feature here that it's easy to forget. You won't be able to cock it if you don't do that. So remember to keep the selector switch on fire whenever you want to manipulate the gun. So. Really, that gun is smoking. Let's try another mag. Yeah, like I said, this is just really smooth, solid shooting, All right, last one. So these are, you can see some of these are black, some of these are gray. So the gray ones are generally military surplus. And then these here, the black ones, and you can see a little IMI stamp in the back. So these were made by IMI, Israel Military Industries, generally for the civilian market abroad, specifically in the U.S., for civilians. So they're pretty good quality too. I would say comparable to the mil-spec ones, but they're different for whatever reason. The military Uzis had a gray phosphate coating, and the ones they shipped abroad were black. Why? Probably a marketing thing, because they figured that U.S. consumers would prefer black over gray phosphate. But to me, it's all the same. They're all great. Let's go with this last mag. Okay. Well, hey guys, I'm so glad you joined me for this episode. Again, the Uzi, this is an amazing choice for home defense, to protect, installation, security, house of worship, etc. If you have any questions, feel free to message me or post it in the comments. Once again, if you like this video, make sure to click like and subscribe. We're going to be coming out with a lot more amazing content. If you like Israeli military firearms and other military weapons, we're going to be putting that out there. And so hope to see you in the next video.